here in Detroit, there's been much controversy about the 1967 rebellion or riot or any term you want to give it, don't matter. You know, because black people were fed up. The ones that would fight, most of them were hustlers, you know, that wasn't scared to mix with the police. They've been fighting the police anyway, and authority. Uh, and I know exactly how the riots came about, but you're not gonna hear it from the brothers, you know, like me, because a whole lot of brothers, street brothers, you know, are dead in jail, strung out on drugs. So very few, because I know the crew I used to hang around with, half of them are dead. Some of them spent a bit in jail, became dope fiends or whatever, you know, and they ain't got out that cycle. But I was blessed. I blessed myself to get out the streets due to the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because my uncle used to track me down and teach the teachers to me while he was going through changes himself. It's hard to be in the world but not of the world, like I say, because the lines are blurred. Now, my mother took me out because of a falling out between her and my uncle and some of the brothers in the nation, because my father, you know, he wasn't going to become a Muslim, and so she wasn't allowed to come up there without my father. And then also she fell out with my uncle. And so at the age of 7, she quit going to the temple. And that caused me to quit going to the temple. And she went all the way back, turned all the way around, started eating pork again, celebrating Christmas and mingling with Caucasians and different things like that. And all up until I became grown, I was in the devil's frame of mind. But I was really confused, because I was rebellious against the devil, but due to my mother and my father, I was in conflict, but I was accepting what they were doing. They were partying, drinking, cabareting, you know, working, and which, you know, it was good, but they were celebrating all the holidays, doing all the things that the Caucasian was doing. But they both were hard workers. And my mother started developing heart trouble in her 30s, you know. And so, you know, I was trying to find myself. I sold dope. I tried to pimp. But when I seen how hard, actually, you know, I'm the type of guy, when you hustling like that, you ain't got no clock. You don't punch no time card. 24/7. And some cats, they started snorting cocaine to keep them up, taking pills to keep them up, you know, and getting strung out, you know. So they smoke herb or snort some heroin or shoot some heroin to bring them back down. So they became hooked on the drugs, and they was being pimped by the dope man. So I said to him, I said, well, I want to be the dope man then. But then I found out that the Caucasian is the one that's supplying the dope. And he controls the police, the government, all the, you know, and the money. So I didn't stay there for long, because I know that anytime they wanted to, they could get rid of me. And they could say, well, he was a drug dealer, or he was a pimp and all like that. So I stopped doing that. To make a long story short, I stopped doing that. And then plus I became, I got married, and I had children. And I seen how brothers was getting their own children high, and how they was living in front of their children. And so I knew I didn't want my children to follow in my footsteps. So I had to find myself. So I just started trying to work, you know. But then I had another uncle that was a hustler, and he didn't sell, he could, well, actually he hustled everything he could, but my mother asked him to teach us how to hustle where we won't get in too much trouble. So he sold fish. And this other guy I know, my mother knew, was a landscaper. He schooled me on how to cut grass. And these are some of the cards I used to have printed up. Faith and Family Imports and Exports. We were selling fish. This is some of my landscaping and janitorial cards that I had printed up. And I used to do that. So by me doing that, I landed in a permanent position as a janitor and a custodian. And then later on I became building manager. And plus I was still hustling. In the meantime, I'm going to school for broadcasting. I'm also, my hobby was a musician. So we're going to continue on with this on the next one. Black Light Out.